Hello, everybody, and welcome to At the Book for a Thursday, June the 16th, 2022. I am Jim Derry along with Devin Jackson, Spencer the Guru Urquhart, and our friend Zach Ewing is off to find Celtic-colored glasses somewhere in the land of the APSC convention. He will be on, I'm sure, Monday to, Spencer and I hope that he's on to, pour his wounds, we'll pour salt into his wounds and let him suffer a little bit. Devin will just smile in the background. Right.
I'm just watching the show, man. I'm just watching the show.
What's going on, gentlemen? How are you guys on this Thursday?
I'm doing well, Jim. Just ready for Game 6 tonight. Hope the Dubs can close it out, but I'm just preparing myself for some really bad officiating. That's why I'm not playing it. I've got my futures bets. I'm not touching the Knights, though, because I just feel like it could be a hose job.
We're going to talk today is going to be almost all about the NBA and the New Orleans Saints. We're going to talk about those two topics for the most part. We will shuffle in a couple other things. We'll start real briefly with the PGA, the U.S. Well, it's not the PGA. It's actually the USGA. The U.S. Open is being played right now. Adam Hadwin led right before I went on the air. Was at -4 with the best round of the day so far. The best round in the clubhouse. 4 guys at 3 under, including no surprise Rory McIlroy. And so we'll see how our PGA picks do. We had a good week last week. So far, the guys that we have picked thus far are doing okay. And if they all have decent days tomorrow, they'll all make the cut, which is all you can really ask for right now. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow. Now, don't forget, Caesars Sportsbook has use code NOLA15. That is your code for a risk-free bet up to $1,500. Whatever you want to bet, make your first bet up to $1,500 is risk-free. If you want to bet on tonight's Celtics Warriors game and you choose to make a bet, whatever you decide to make a bet, you see those glasses right there? Those are the ones Zach needs. And you will get a bet up to $1,500 risk-free at Caesars Sportsbook, which is the official odds partner of us here at bet.nola.com. Now, let's start talking about the NBA. We're going to get to the Saints in a little bit. We're going to talk about all kinds of things related to the Saints. But Game 6 tonight, and I am hoping that Spencer is right. I don't know if I think he's right. I'm going to get everybody's opinion. He said before the series started, Warriors in 6. I said either 5 or 7. I know I was being a little weird there, but I had my logic. I think the Warriors were going to close that at home one way or the other. So I guess that means I think the Celtics are going to win tonight. But I think, and I'm going to start with you, Spencer, I think the best way to approach this game, we said in Daily Best Bets today, I have a future. If you have any future on this bet, on this series at all, if you have the Celtics or the Warriors winning, I think the way to play tonight is one of 2 ways. You either play the total like we put in Daily Best Bets, and we have the over tonight. I think the over. I think both teams are going to play well. I think the shooting's going to be a lot better than it has been. I agree with you that the officiating is going to be interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of free throws being shot tonight. Both teams are pretty good from the free throw line, especially the Warriors. I just think it's going to come down to the wire. So I'm not playing this game spread or money line at all. I'm playing strictly the total, and I do have a player prop we'll talk about in just a minute.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel that. I'm probably not going to touch it either. Maybe the Warriors spread, although it's like the spreads never seem to come into play in these things. They're always like double-digit margins of victory. So, I'm probably not going to touch it. I hope I'm right, though. I hope the Dubs can close it out so I can take my victory laps. Dubs in 6 back when Zach thought I was nuts. I remember it was like plus 800, and I was like, I could still maybe see it happening. I mean, it's obviously unlikely if it's that long odds, but it's worth putting a few bucks on. So hopefully they can close it out tonight. But it's one of those things where Boston, I don't think Boston's gonna just lay down. Like, they're definitely gonna give it their all. That's a tough nosed team. They got some physical players there, some guys that are really, really determined. I don't think they're quite ready to get the hoist the trophy, but they're not gonna go down without a fight. Golden State's gonna have to play a flawless game tonight in order to get the win.
I don't disagree with that, and I think both teams play well. Hence, why I like the over. Also, Devin, I like how I like to fade the public, and the public is all over the under, pretty much because of what they've seen so far. 3 of the last 4 games have gone under, and part of that is because each team has gone funks throughout this series in different parts of each game, really. And you can't expect teams to play perfect games, but when we talk about funks, we're talking about turnovers, 10 straight missed shots. We've seen that plenty of times. Draymond getting in foul trouble for the Warriors, getting in fights. Jason Tatum disappearing at times. I don't think we're going to see a lot of that tonight. I think we're going to see a cleaner game per se as far as shooting wise. I think both teams are going to shoot at least in the high 40s, maybe into the 50s. I like to get your perspective and see what you think, especially about the over-under.
Yeah, I also like the over in this game because, like you said, they can't possibly play worse than they did in Game 5. It was one of those games both teams knew it was important to take control of the series, and sometimes in those games, you're pressing a little bit much, and both teams at some point in the game were pressing a bit. Steph Curry obviously didn't have a great Game 5. The Celtics really went cold the last 5 minutes of the game. So we've seen games where both teams have gone cold in the fourth quarter, but I think this is going to be actually a close game throughout, and I think it's really going to come down to the last 4 or 5 minutes, which team can take care of the basketball. I think that's been the kind of the decider of the series, which team can minimize their turnovers and really get out and run the fast break. So I think the over is a good play tonight. I think you're going to get a really clean game in terms of shooting wise. Now, I think foul trouble wise, I think you're going to see a couple of the main key contributors get into some foul trouble tonight, especially with a potential closeout game. You're going to see the Celtics probably be a little bit more aggressive getting to the rack. And the referees have been quick to blow whistles in this series. So I think you're going to see a lot of free throws tonight. A lot of teams or a lot of chess pieces between the two coaches to see which lineups are gonna finish it out. And I think after Draymond Green had a pretty good Game 5, I'm interested to see if 1, he can stay out of foul trouble, and 2, if he can play as well as he did in Game 5.
At least in the first half, he certainly did play very well. And Uncle Big Nick chimes in, and he's right. Boston's kind of the center of the sports world right now. He would imagine few people at the U.S. Open all day going to the finals. Will that make it rowdy? I don't know. I mean, I would imagine a lot of those people going to the U.S. Open have enough money to go to the finals if they want to grab a $800 or $1,000 ticket. That's well out of my price range. But hey, if that's what they want to do, and after going to golf all day, it should be interesting for sure. I just think that my play today, and we can put up the player MVP or the player props tonight. And I like Klay Thompson over under. And we talk about, you hear Game 6 Klay. Well, tonight's Game 6. And I don't know what it is about Game 6. And oftentimes Game 6 has been at home for the Warriors, but it's something about Game 6 and Klay Thompson having a big game. I think he's going to have a big first half tonight. We'll see. His over under is only 19.5. I say only. That's not, it's not something that he's really done throughout the series a whole bunch, but paying the minus 25 to get the over, I paid it already. I like it. And if I almost parlayed it with that Steph under, but playing a Steph under is kind of like playing a college football under. You do so at your own peril. So I didn't do that, but those are the two that I really like tonight. I think Klay is going to step up and have a big game. Any other ones you see? Spencer, you like any of the over-unders on this list?
Yeah, I think let's see, probably Tatum. I know Tatum's going to need to do well, but that plus 100 under is kind of tempting, as well as the Marcus Smart's under too. He's typically not a huge scorer. I know even sometimes he'll get more than 16, but I personally don't see him doing that tonight. And I kind of like Jaylen Brown's over. I think he's going to do pretty well there. And then the Wiggins under. kind of, although it's so juiced, they're minus 145. I probably wouldn't touch that. So yeah, I would say the Clay over is a solid play, and then probably the Tatum under too, because it's just like, I know he's their top scorer, but 27.5 is a pretty high. Or I think he'll get over. If it was like 25.5, I'd probably take the over, but at 27.5 with the plus 100, I'm going under.
All right, Devin, I'm going to do something here. We're going to give those who have stuck around the first 10 minutes, we're going to give them a little treat. We're going to come up with a 6-player parlay, and we're going to put, like, I don't know, we'll put $5 on it. And I don't even know what it's going to pay. But let's do it. Let's do it together here. So Spencer likes the Jason Tatum under, which I agree with. I'm going to go with that. We'll go with the Marcus Smart under. Okay, so I know you're going to like the Jason Brown over, I'm assuming. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Devin? Yeah, okay, so there we go. We got the Tatum under, the Brown over, the Smart under. I got the Thompson over, and we got the Curry under. What are we doing with Wiggins? We're going to do a six-player prop parlay for $5. What are we doing with Wiggins? Over or under 18.5?
This one's a tough one because Wiggins he's played well, but can he continue playing that well? You know what? I'm gonna go over. I think I could see him getting 19 tonight.
All right, well, there it is. There is your. If you stayed around this long, we're all gonna do it together. We're gonna do a $5 just for the fun of it. Well, $5, I guess, just not for the fun of it. But we're gonna see if we can win. As we talk later, I'm gonna try to figure out what this pays. I'm gonna do it on Caesars Sportsbook, and we're gonna see what it pays. We're gonna come back to you in a little bit before the show's over. Keep that slide ready because at the end of the show, we're going to talk about what our parlay is going to pay for $5. We're going to all do it together. All right. Before we get off the topic of the NBA, Game 6, NBA championship odds. If you still like the Celtics, okay, I'm not going to argue with you. Again, I'm not going to say the same thing that I've been saying basically the entire series. If you like the Celtics before the series started, there really is no reason not to change your mind. I mean, they're basically where they're supposed to be at this point. The Celtics are going back home, playing at home tonight. They're a favorite to win tonight, which means if they win like they're supposed to get a price of plus 310, I'm going to start with you, Devin, here. To me, that is a bargain. Obviously, there's no bargain on the Warriors whatsoever. If you like the Warriors and you haven't bet them already, the only way to play them really is to play the money line tonight. And if they lose, play the money line again on Sunday night. Otherwise, that is your only chance to play the Warriors. But if you like the Celtics and you think they're going to win 2 in a row, to me, there is great value at plus 310 if you like them.
Yeah, I think you got to play them tonight if you want the Celtics in the series because the price isn't going to be as good as it is right now. Maybe it gets closer to even money if the Celtics win the game tonight. But at this point, at plus 310, you got to take it now. You know, there's no question about it. So we'll see what happens tonight. But yeah, the Celtics price line right now at plus 310. I mean, there's not going to be a better bargain in this finals than that at this point for either side. You know, you just might as well take it. And, you know, say the Celtics win tonight, I would parlay the if you still like the Warriors, I might parlay in Game 7 their money line plus the under to hit in Game 7 because we know a lot in Game 7s that offense isn't a premium. Both teams are pretty tight and nervous. So I would say that those would be the plays for me. But yeah, Celtics plus 310, you can't beat that.
Okay, and Spencer, I just did our parlay. Okay, we're not going to have to make them wait to the end of the show. Our parlay, and actually some of the numbers have changed. Clay's over is now 20.5. Let's see. Jason Tatum is 28.5. I think he was 27.5 before. So Wiggins over 18.5. Klay Thompson over 20.5. Curry under 28.5. Tatum under 28.5. Jaylen Brown over 24.5. Marcus Smart under 16.5 now. So you got an extra point there. A $5 bet will pay $225 of profit. So there you go. There's our gift to you tonight. If we win, you can come back and join us on Monday show. You see the numbers there. They've changed a little bit since we went on the air, but still What do you think there, Spence?
Hey, I'm gonna go do it. I like it. I feel like it's
All
for
right.
$5. It's worth it because I think all
Worth a
these
shot for $5, right?
most definitely.
All right. Well, let's move on and talk about the New Orleans Saints. And they've had an interesting week of minicamp. Tomorrow, we're going to be on Datitude talking with Jeff Duncan about what he's seen at minicamp so far. The good news is that pretty much everyone that was supposed to be there is there. And that even includes Will Lutz, who hasn't kicked really in 10 or 11 months. So it's exciting to see. I mean, we don't talk a lot about kickers, but in this case, we saw last year how much kickers have meant to the Saints. Devin, I'll start with you. What is the news that you've seen so far that has, if you're a Saints fan, which I know you're probably not really a Saints fan. I mean, you're here in New Orleans, but so maybe your allegiances have changed. I don't know. But what if you're a Saints fan? What is the news that you're most excited about so far?
I think, the reports of Chris Olave standing out in practice, I think you feel pretty good about that. Them moving up to get him in the first round, gave up some significant capital to have him on the team. He's made some pretty good catches. Jarvis Landry too. So the receiver group is looking good so far. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways this week so far at minicamp is one. I mean, you have everyone that you need or expected to have there, but two, you get in a lot of upgrade production in the receiver room. So while Jameis Winston is still recovering and still trying to get back from the injury, the receiving room with some of its newest additions, I think, is probably the biggest story so far in the mini camps week so far.
It's kind of a story that kind of flew under the radar for me a little bit. I don't know that I saw it on our site or one of the other sites, just kind of going through and seeing what happened at minicamp. I think Mike Triplett wrote it, actually. They were talking about Jarvis Landry, to me, is already showing his worth because he's stepping up as a leader already with that receiving core, which I really love. I mean, and you're talking about a savvy veteran who's going to come in here. So not only is he going to play the role of third receiver, which goes to Devin's point about this receiving core and how good they can be, but the fact that he's already propping up Jameis Winston and talking about how Winston's one of the hardest working players in this team. And, he points out, I think it was to Tripp, that, who's still out here long after practice was over. Who was the last one out there? It was Jameis Winston, working as hard as he can. And I think that goes to show why the Saints really like Jameis Winston and why they think that he can be that first-round pick. And, Spencer, I'll ask you, I think as far as the progression goes now, we're not going to see a whole lot during minicamp. We'll know more next month when they get into real camp. But the fact that Jameis Winston is out there working as hard as he is already, I think is a great sign for Saints fans.
Yeah, no doubt. He's definitely going to, I feel like, be a respectable quarterback this year. I'm not going to go as far as say he'll be an elite quarterback like Drew Brees was, but he's going to be solid. He's going to be somebody that Saints fans that you're not going to look at him and be like, oh, he's like holding us back. Like, oh, he's the problem. I feel like he's at least going to hold his own and has potential to be like a top 10 type quarterback if he really can cut down on those turnovers, which he did last season. I know it was just half a season, but he really cut down on the picks. So, but the improved receiving core is just, he just got to stay healthy. I feel like as long as he's healthy, he'll do the job. I'm
going to throw you for a loop because I want to throw up the slide with the MVP odds next, because I want to talk about what a bargain you could get. Look, I'm not saying Jameis Winston's going to be the MVP of the NFL, okay? There's a lot of Saints fans being haters on Jameis Winston. But I threw up this – we put the slide together with a purpose. You see the top. I mean, if you want to go throw money on one of those guys in the top four who I think have realistic chances, maybe Justin Herbert if you think he's going to take the next step. So I really think you only can bet on one of those five guys to make any money. So if you want to pick one of those five guys, great. But if you go down the list and you want to find a bargain, why Jameis Winston is such a great bargain at 150-1? Because you look at Deshaun Watson, who let's get real. Deshaun Watson is not going to play 17 games next year. He's in a whole lot of trouble. We don't know when this trouble is going to go end, but Cleveland has got themselves in a mess right now. I mean, I don't know. We don't know where Deshaun Watson is going to be come week 1, or especially come week 17. So he's going to have some issues throughout the season. But they'll show the fact that Jameis Winston is his odds are 6 times greater, or however you want to say it, higher than Deshaun Watson is kind of crazy in my mind. Devin, I'd like to get your opinion, but you look at some of the guys ahead of him: Mac Jones, Justin Fields at 100-1. Carson, you're telling me that Carson Wentz has a better chance to be MVP than Jameis Winston? I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, as we've discovered that, through this offseason, the bettors are fading anything Saints related. Pretty much every odds we've seen this offseason are a little bit skewed in terms of the success the Saints had last year. I mean, obviously, we talked about on the show the schedule, how hard it's going to be. But, I mean, even if Jameis Winston plays like 80, 90% of himself last year, the weapons are better. I mean, that's undoubtedly there. You think about the Seattle game last year. I mean, he was trying to throw it to Traquan Smith, who had just returned from injury. The receiver room is way better than it already is. Plus, he's not going to have to, there's going to be less on his shoulders, I would think, in terms of like how much he's going to have to create downfield because of the natural talent in the room. Plus, the Saints can't possibly be as bad as they were at times on offense last year. It would be incredibly difficult for that to happen. So kind of seeing those MVP odds and seeing how things are stacking up, 150-1 is crazy because, I like Justin Fields and I like what he's done, but he's playing for the Bears. I mean,
exactly.
they're not going to be contenders this year. Like the Patriots are maybe contending, but the Dolphins got a lot better. The Bills are going to be the Bills. So when I look at the situation, the Saints are at worst the second best team right now in the division. There's a good chance they make the playoffs. So to me, 151-1 is a bargain. Just put $10 down on it, because if Winston gets hot, his odds are going to shoot down to 20-1, 10-1, and all of a sudden, if he has a season, no one's expecting, then all of a sudden you can cash in big.
Yeah, I mean, you put $10 on it and you win $1,500 if it comes through. And let me tell you, he's a great story. He may be more likely to win a comeback player of the year award. But if he has the kind of year that he could have with this, if the offensive line holds up, this wide receiving core is going to give him plenty of chances. Look what he did with no wide receiving core. Spencer, 14 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. We saw just a glimpse in 6.5 games of what he could do. So you extrapolate that over the course of a season, you're talking about in the neighborhood of 34 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, and probably passing for over 4,000 yards. You talk about a team that if this team wins the division and he has those kinds of numbers and they do better than anyone expects them to do, and they have a record like 12-5, say, or whatever, and win the division, I mean, he certainly got a chance to win MVP.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible, but it's just I'll have to throw a little water on the fire. I personally wouldn't touch it because I don't think he's got quite enough upside with the way the Saints identity now is defense, a defense first mentality, to where I just don't think Jameis is going to put up the numbers as far as like the yards. I think he might crack 4,000, but I mean, in today's NFL, to be an MVP contender, you got to be close to 5,000. So it's a great story. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he does it, but I wouldn't put the $10 on that. I would save that $10 and put it on him to be a comeback player of the year. I think that he could very well do that.
Zion Williamson. This is all tongue in cheek, folks. Playing with the Saints tight end, why not? I mean, he can't stay healthy on the basketball court. I'm not sure he's going to stay healthy.
We got Taysom Hill now.
Yeah, well, speaking of not being able to stay healthy, Taysom Hill also on the tight end train. Who knows? Thanks for writing in, Aaron. We appreciate your tongue in cheekness. But like I said, for $10, why not? Speaking of nice odds to win the NFC South have changed. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have gone from minus 250, or I think they were minus 220 for a while, went to minus 250 the last time we checked in on this. They're now minus 330. That is insane to me. Minus 330 to win the division. You can't touch that with a stick. I mean, I don't care how sure you are the Bucs are going to win the division. That is a terrible number. You're getting zero value there. The Falcons now have gone way below the Panthers. They were something along the lines of 900 or 900 or 1,000. They have gone all the way to plus 2,500. So not a lot of confidence in the Falcons. The Saints they started out at plus 500. Their odds have dropped to plus 380. So they're getting a little bit of love from the Caesars Sportsbook crowd. Devin Jackson, any value on this list at all?
Honestly, I wouldn't touch it until before the season starts and see, how everything shakes out. Because, like, as much as they're favoring the Bucs right now, I mean, injury or two in the preseason or during training camp can dramatically change this. They're entering the season with a new head coach as well. They've had some turnover on their roster, a bit of turnover. Some changes along the offensive line. Obviously, you still have Brady and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in the crew, but you can't be too confident that they're going to run away with this. So I would say I probably wouldn't place a bet on anything on this board. To be honest, I mean, I like the Saints to at least push the Bucs, but I just feel like you may get a better price closer to the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Saints odds keep dropping. I'm almost to the point now where if you have not bet yet, you've kind of missed the boat. The Saints were plus 500. You're not getting the value you were getting before. Everybody's kind of jumped on the bandwagon. I probably wouldn't touch it right now. If anything, if I'm going to bet on anybody, I'd probably take a flyer, Spencer, on the Carolina Panthers at plus 1,200. I think Atlanta has zero shot to win this division. I mean, I wouldn't even put $1 on them at plus 2,500. That's how bad I think they're going to be this year. I think they're going to be bad. I don't think the Panthers are going to be any good, but I think at plus 1,200, I do think there's value. We've talked about, if Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy, they figure out the quarterback situation early. Their defense is not bad. We saw glimpses from them last year. I'm not a big Matt Rule fan. I don't like the way he ran his team last year, really. But I don't know. If they get hot, they get the right things going on. They got a tough schedule. But I think the Panthers at plus 1,200 is a decent value.
Yeah, I think a lot will depend on who they can get at quarterback. Because, I mean, if it's Sam Darnold, I'm not touching it. I'm completely off. But if they could get like Jimmy G or Baker Mayfield, I mean, I know neither of those guys are that great, but I think they both be a fairly substantial upgrade over Darnold to the point to where Carolina could, if things go their way, it could maybe have a winning season. And I mean, and with the Saints and Bucs, I mean, Brady's 45, Jameis is coming off an ACL, so it's not like the division's loaded. But I don't know. I feel like it's just if it's Sam Darnold, you're starting, and the Matt Corral, the backup, the rookie, you have no idea what you're gonna get. I wouldn't touch it right now.
Let's look at the overall Super Bowl odds and see if we can find any value there. And the Saints have, we've talked about for a couple of weeks now. They changed. They were again. I think you've almost missed the boat now on the Saints. If you didn't get them at plus 5,000, I'm not sure I would bet them at plus 4,000. And other sites have been at plus 3,000 and it's been there for a while. I definitely wouldn't touch them at 3,000. But if you're looking for value on this list, Devin, I know a lot of people are going to hate when I say this and laugh because they never win playoff games and blah, blah, blah. But I think the best team on this list with mediocre odds are the Dallas Cowboys, plus 1,800. I mean, I think, look, they had their issues last year, but really they were a couple plays away from making it to the NFC Championship game. They make it to that game, whether they advance beyond the Rams, it doesn't matter to me because their odds would be way lower than 1,800. I think there's great value in the Cowboys.
Yeah, I agree. I think, as much as people, talk down on the Cowboys and obviously their lack of player success plays a part in that. I think them and the LA Rams at plus 1,100. I'm very surprised that the Rams coming off a Super Bowl win. They just re-signed Aaron Donald to a big contract. They acquired some pieces offensively over the offseason. Them at plus 1,100 is a bit of a surprise to me, considering what they brought back. It's not like they lost a ton. I know they lost Von Miller, but that's kind of their biggest loss so far this offseason. We'll see where Odell Beckham Jr. signs. But I'll say the Cowboys and Rams have some pretty favorable odds right now because I think once we get closer to the season, the Rams odds will dip more and more. But I would say those are two teams on the board that I like. Maybe the 49ers, if they figure out what they're going to do with Garoppolo or not. I think that's kind of the looming presence right now. Are they going to keep him? Or are they going to ship him out? We'll see what happens with that situation. But I would say the Cowboys and Rams are the top plays on this board right now.
Yeah, I actually think I like the 49ers a month or so ago, but that goes part of what you've been talking about is waiting to see what happens during training camp at this point. I don't think the odds are going to change all that much between now and maybe the start of preseason. And I think the Jimmy Garoppolo thing is going to be a distraction unless they get him off that team. Trey Lance needs to be the quarterback of the 49ers. They need to find a way to make it happen. And having Jimmy G hang around is going to be a mess, I think. But just a little side note, and you can come back to us three. We're going to go back to this slide in a second. But did either one of you see that OBJ, when he signed with the Rams, he asked to be paid in Bitcoin? And
yeah, I think I heard about that.
Now, when you talk about the California taxes and just the overall taxes that he had to pay, and the fact that Bitcoin has dropped 80%, almost 80% since he signed. I mean, I hate feeling sorry for millionaires, but this is why you don't ask to be paid in Bitcoin, boys and girls. I know you think you're doing, you think you're doing yourself a favor, but I don't know if either one of you saw that. But now I think it came out to something along the lines of he ended up making after taxes somewhere like $80,000 for playing for the Rams, which is a lot of money to you and me. But in the grand scheme of things, for an NFL player, and he does have a Super Bowl ring, he's gonna have one. Yikes.
Yeah, and he tore his ACL in the Super Bowl, so yeah,
right.
He's just next on that one. I could give him. I'm not gonna say what I was going to say. He's an idiot, but I'll spare him.
All right, you UL fan, stop it. Look, that just take your money in American dollars. That's the way that I would suggest. What you do with it after you take those American dollars, it's all up to you. I mean, you could put it in whatever you want, really, but take your money in U.S. dollars. That's how I like to get paid anyway. Spencer, let's go to that slide real quick. I want to ask you if you see any value in this list. I mean, look, it's hard not to like the Buffalo Bills or the Chiefs, right? That to me, we're going to see what happens with the Chiefs when they have some new offensive weapons. Tyreek Hill no longer there. I'm still not sure why they think Tyreek Hill is that big of a deal that the odds of the Chiefs have dropped from 800 to 1,000, and hence the Bills have gone up from 800 to 650. That's insane to me. I'm not really 100% sure. Am I the only one here that doesn't understand why the Bills are the overwhelming favorite to win the AFC now?
Josh Allen.
And the defense is good too.
Yeah, they got Von Miller. I mean, they made some nice additions. I think people are just expecting to take that next step. We'll see what happens, though. I mean, the Bills are. I mean, can they get past the Chiefs? I think that's the biggest question. It's the team they lost in the last two playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
look, you could say Josh Allen all you want, but I'm going to counter that with Pat Mahomes. I'm sorry, I just am. He's the best player to me of this mini era. I mean, he's got a long way to go to being like this super great or whatever. But to me, he does things that no one else, including Josh Allen, can do. And I love Josh Allen. But my son thinks that Josh Allen is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's got a Josh Allen jersey. I got to go through this every Sunday and blah, blah, blah. And when Josh Allen stinks, he disappears at halftime and then I don't hear from him again for like 4 or 5 days. It is what it is. I mean, but I just don't think that Josh Allen is all of that. He's not Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. I mean, Spencer, tell me I'm wrong. And if you think I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, as far as a passer, he's not Patrick Mahomes, but as a runner, he's a lot better to where, like, overall, they're close. I would probably say, just from a real life perspective, a fantasy, definitely Josh Allen, but real life, I mean, he's yet to knock Mahomes off. I mean, when they went mano-a-mano, Mahomes got the edge this year in the playoffs. So I'd probably still have to go with Mahomes if we're talking just real life NFL. Who's the best quarterback?
Mahomes also has that horseshoe thing. I don't know. You know that certain players like I'm not going to say Tom Brady's lucky, but Tom Brady has also throughout his career had little moments where he's definitely had the gods on his side. And I think Patrick Mahomes has that little thing too. So when you're like unbelievably gifted and talented and you got the luck thing going on, yeah, it's pretty hard to beat. All right, Spencer, let's talk about these odds. And if you see any value here, I got Dallas. Evan likes the Rams, which I like the Rams too. I think that's a great value play right there. Is there anybody on this list you see that is a value?
Not a whole lot. I kind of like that trio at plus 1,600. The Broncos, Chargers, 49ers. All those teams have a lot of upside, on both sides of the ball. To where I think they could, if things break right, all of those teams have Super Bowl upside. To where I think it's 16-1. Those are solid odds for all those. If I had to pick one, I'd probably go with the Niners because of being in the NFC. The AFC is so loaded. It's going to be tough to take down the Bills or the Chiefs. But, I mean, the Chargers with Herbert are going to be contenders this year, as well as the Broncos with Russ. So I kind of – and I also, though, I was, thinking when I was looking, I was like, where are the Bengals and the Raiders? I'm guessing they're probably, plus –
They were – the Raiders are, I think, the Raiders are way above 2,000. The Raiders are in the ballpark of the same as the Saints. They're about – I got them at plus 5,000, but that was a couple months ago. I think they're in the plus 4,000 range. So there's a potential bargain because I like the Raiders as well. I think the Raiders are flying under the radar and could be a really, really good team this year. You can sell me on the Chargers or the 49ers. You can't sell me on the Broncos. I love Russ. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see why the Broncos are going to be that much better than they've been. Are they going to be better? Yeah, they're going to be better because Russ is a Hall of Fame quarterback, but I just don't think they're going to be that much better. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm with you on the Raiders. I think the Raiders could be a super value. And the Bengals, I think they were right under the 1,800, the list of 1,800s. I ran out of room. I probably should have put them back up there. But I don't know, Devin, what do you think? To me, after what they were able to do last year, obviously they kind of, they had that magical run. I'm not sure that's going to be easy to duplicate.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. They had things go their way. Games they probably shouldn't have won that they ended up winning. Defense really played well down the stretch. I mean, it kind of needs to be a perfect storm to happen again. And, they gotten better, but just how much better? I don't think they've closed the gap nearly enough with overall with the Chiefs and Bills. So we'll see what happens, but it's going to be tough to win that many one score playoff games in a row to get to the Super Bowl.
Do it again.
So
yeah. I think they're going to have a tough time making it to the playoffs this year, but we'll see. U.S. Open update. Thank you, Uncle Big Nick. This is my favorite kind of update. Anyone who has listened to any of my shows or followed me at all knows anything about me, knows what I think about Phil Mickelson. And this is before he went to the LIV. I'm not calling it with the pronunciation. I'm calling it the LIV Tour, or I might call it 54 Tour, or I might call it the Trader Tour. But Phil Mickelson is 7 over through 12 holes. That is a darn shame, boys and girls. Yeah, you get what you pay for. $200 million man. He's 7 over through 12. That's exciting. All right, we got to talk about this Saints helmet. And Devin found it. In case you have not heard the news, this is what the blackout game helmet is going to be like. Now, I got in late. I jumped in right before we went on the air. I heard the tail end of you guys' conversation, so interested to hear what you think. You think it's a little plain, Spencer?
Yeah, well, I like the top part, the middle top part with those little fleur-de-lis. I like that a lot. I just feel like they could maybe accented the side fleur-de-lis a little more. It made it bigger too. I like the way the Saints fleur-de-lis used to be a little bigger. I feel like it's all right, smaller on the gold helmet because the black fleur-de-lis kind of pops more. On this one, it's kind of I wish they'd have done a little more with it. It's a little plain, I feel like, but not bad.
Devin, you think they could have picked a helmet that they didn't scratch up before they took pictures of it? I mean, what did they do? Go out and practice with this helmet on or something? I mean, if you put this back on the screen, it's got little nicks. It looks like Cam Jordan was banging heads with somebody before they put this on the screen. What is your take on the blackout helmet?
See, I like the helmets, and I think they're a nice addition to what they're doing, but they're wearing them with the color rush jerseys, and to me, I like the gold on
Are
the
they
color
really?
rush.
You mean
Yeah,
the white?
well,
They're wearing them with the white jerseys with the gold numbers. They're wearing black helmets.
well, that's what it seems like from, or at least they
Okay.
took the pictures with it. We'll see if they actually do. I would like to see an all blackout moment where
So would I.
they,
Yeah, that's what I
they
was
wear.
thinking. It would be like a blackout color rush. I thought that's why they had these black helmets.
But we'll
I
see.
think they ought to.
I mean,
I think they ought to make the color rush jerseys their permanent away jerseys. I think if they're going to wear white, to me, those I hate. I'm those white jerseys with the black numbers. I'm an old dude, and to me, they just remind me of like the old Saints that stunk. That's what they look like to me. If you go back and you look at the Saints from like the 80s, like the late 70s and early 80s, that's what their jerseys looked like. And all I can think about is bad. So to me, that's what I think about when they wear those. I much prefer the white jerseys with the deeper gold numbers and wear all white or wear all black. I think that looks great, and I agree with you, Devin. I think you're going to wear that black helmet. You need to do it with all black with the black jerseys and the black pants.
yeah,
Fans?
it's a good look. I think
Yeah.
think fans have been clamoring for this for years, and
Better than the gold
do it.
jerseys. Those gold jerseys were awful. That they wore those girls. They only wore them once. Thank God. They were awful, and I see fans still wear them every now and then. Those gold jerseys are terrible. But you know what, Spence? I agree. I think it's time for. I also think it's time for a little redesign. I would kind of change that fleur de lis. I think it's getting kind of stale. Don't get me wrong. I still want the fleur de lis, but I think you could do something different with it. I'm not exactly sure what. Maybe we'll have some kind of artist to come up with something. But I think it's time for a little modernized fleur de lis, one that pops out a little bit. Maybe put a little shadow behind it or something. It hasn't changed. It's time for a new uniform too. I mean, and I mean subtly. I mean like number font. They need a new number. I don't have Saints fans telling me it's like changing the Yankees uniform. I'm not asking for a major redesign. I don't want the colors changed, but I think a new number font, maybe some kind of stripe something. Maybe put something somewhere. We need a little bit of a change. I think we need an upgrade. It's time for an upgrade. All right, that's all I think about the Saints uniforms. We talked about that long enough. Before we close out the show today, in case you haven't noticed, your New Orleans Breakers have made the playoffs. They are playoff bound, and their championship odds have actually dropped a little bit. You can get a bargain on those Breakers at 3.5 to 1, which actually I think is a value. We know the 4 teams that are going to be in the playoffs. To me, I think the winner of the Breakers Stallions game is going to win the USFL championship. That's just my opinion. Although the Generals are playing pretty well right now. You guys, I'm not sure how much you've followed the USFL. I know I'm a little geeky when it comes to this kind of stuff. I do follow it, and I've seen most of the Breakers games this season, if not all of them. If not all of one game, I've seen probably all of 5 games and parts of the others. They got a meaningless game this week against the Gamblers. They're 3-point favorites. I'm sure it's not like a normal NFL game. There's no reason to tank. They're going to play their best game. They're going to play all their regular people. You only play a 10-game season. But either one of you, more than welcome to chime in. I think the Breakers are valued at plus 350.
I agree. I like the Breakers, and really, the only thing that's held them back this year is just turnovers. It's been a killer. I mean, that's been really their only downside. They have a really good defense. They have really good weapons on the outside. Have a decent running game. Kyle Sloter just needs to play consistently. When he plays well, the Breakers win, and it's a simple formula for them. They have the talent to match the Stallions pretty much player for player. It's just about take care of the football. So I would say I do like the Breakers as a play. I like the Generals a little bit as well. I think they're gonna easily get past the Stars, and they'll be in the championship game. The Breakers had a chance to beat the Generals a few weeks ago, and the Generals were able to pull away late because of some Breakers turnovers. But I like either the Generals or the Breakers to win a championship at this point. I like the Stallions, but especially after that loss last week to one of the worst teams in the USFL. I know it was an off game, but you definitely see some weaknesses in their game. So I'd like the Breakers, the Generals, to take it home.
Yeah, and I think the Stallions have started to fade a little bit towards the end, to kind of go with your point, Devin. So I think the Breakers are going to win that game. Now, whether they win, I do think they're going to win the championship. I'm just going to go ahead and make a bold prediction here. Make sure you play this one back for Zach. You guys like to record me or whatever and play him back. Before we get to our final thoughts, I said before, in case you jumped out of the show, we're going to give you, we'll say it again, we'll repeat our $5 parlay for you that's going to pay you $225 when it wins. When it wins. Okay, we've got Steph, we've got under 28.5. Okay, write this down, boys and girls. We got under Steph 28.5. We've got over on Clay. It's now 20.5 and not 19.5. But we've got over for Game 6 Clay. Andrew Wiggins. Devin says we're going to go with the over on Andrew Wiggins. And then you look at the Celtics guys. We're going to take the under on Jason Tatum, which is now 28.5. So you're getting a little help. Jaylen Brown 24.5. We're going to take his over, and we're going to take the under on Marcus Smart, which you got help there as well. That's now 16.5. So $5 parlay pays $225. It's our gift to you here on At the Book. And we're going to have final thoughts. And, I just wish Zach was here as we go into Game 6 tonight. It could be all over. The text group will be hot tonight if the Warriors win Game 6, Spencer the Guru.
Oh, yeah, and I'll be taking my victory laps because that'll be nice to get those futures cashed. And hopefully they can get it done so we can focus on the baseball this weekend. I got, of course, all the MLB action and the College World Series. Interested to see how that goes. I think we had the College World Series odds slider. I'm
sorry. I passed right over that. And I'm going to get to Devin before we talk about it. But if there's something you like on that list, Spencer, by all means, give us your thoughts. Sorry I passed up on that.
Oh, good. Yeah, I like A&M there, plus 850.
So do I.
I can't believe that they're the longest shot out of all these teams. Notre Dame, man, there's no value there. I can't believe they're plus 500. I know they beat Tennessee, but I'm not touching that. If I had to pick one here, definitely A&M, and then maybe Ole Miss or Arkansas. I like the SEC teams, but A&M, there's just, to me, there's so much value there.
Devin, I'm going to say on this list, I think the team I've always talked about College World Series more often than not is a team that plays like a team of destiny. Is there any more team of destiny than the Arkansas Razorbacks right now?
No, I think they're certainly one of the teams of destiny. I think them, to me, I like them or Ole Miss to take it home because I think those are the two teams no one really expected at this point to be here. The only reason Ole Miss was even, I guess talked about as a team that couldn't make is because they were wildly inconsistent. But once they beat LSU that weekend, they really have catapulted from that point, and they've blown through every other team. I mean, they're undefeated up until this point. Them and A&M are the only two teams that haven't lost since the season or regular season, or I should say after the SEC tournament. They're only two teams that haven't lost since they've been in postseason play in the NCAA tournament. So Ole Miss is peaking at the right time. So is Arkansas. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw one or both of the teams next Saturday in the College World Series final in the final, because I just think they're the more consistent teams. Texas, to me, showed some chink in their armor against East Carolina. Stanford, same thing. Like they're really good teams and really well-built teams, but you need a little bit of luck along the way and playing well at the right time, and those two teams are.
Spencer, what's up with auto racing this weekend?
Oh, they're off. Finally off this weekend. It's the Father's Day. Yeah, it's one of their few off weekends, and then they'll be back next weekend, the weekend after in Nashville, which I'm planning on attending. Be my first NASCAR race.
All right. Well, we expect to see pictures. We're both going on vacation. It's going to be the Devin show after we leave. No, I'm just kidding. I think Zach's coming back. It'll be Zach and Devin. But I'm not sure. Spencer, you're here on Monday, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm here. I leave on Friday. So, not tomorrow, the Friday after.
Devin's off on Monday, so it'll be Spencer and I on Monday to wrap things up. We know we will have an appearance from Zach Ewing to see his glasses. We got to see this. Devin Jackson, your final thoughts.
Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend of sports. Obviously the Stanley Cup started last night. It was a really good game. I know you placed a bet on that in daily best bets yesterday, Jim. So that's there in the hit. College World Series. I'm really excited to see what kind of what happens. Who's going to win. What team kind of emerges. I think. I'm more excited for the Saturday slate of games. I think Fridays will be fine, but Saturday I think it really gets interesting with Auburn, Ole Miss, and then I believe Stanford and I can't remember who they're playing. But those are the two games I'm most interested to see this weekend. So very excited for some College World Series action.
Well, I'm excited for the weekend as well, mostly because I'm going to brag. I'm going on vacation for 2 weeks. I'm only doing the show Monday. I am going to be off for 2 weeks after that. I'm looking forward. I don't come back until after the 4th of July. And when I come back, it's all football. I mean, it's going to be football when I come back. And so I'm excited from that. The early days of summer are just about to disappear. Tomorrow on Datitude, I'm for the second straight week. This might be the first time I've ever had the same guest 2 weeks in a row. I'm not sure. I have to go back and look. Jeff Duncan is going to come on. I thought with minicamp going on, it was important to get kind of a Saints perspective of what's going on out there in minicamp, and Jeff's been out there. And also I wanted to ask him, I touched on it in Datitude on Wednesday, but this is the 122nd U.S. Open. And I know he was very young back then, but Duncan was at that first U.S. Open. And I want to ask him what it was like at that first U.S. Open. So we're going to have him on and ask him about that as well. That'll all be on Datitude tomorrow. But I think I speak for my colleagues and my friends here when I say Happy Father's Day to everyone. It is it's a special day, whether it's because you're a father and you have kids or because of your fathers who have made us helped make us who we are. And we appreciate them. And we salute them on Father's Day. If they want to watch golf, I said, let them watch golf. That's all I have to say on that. We're going to be back Monday. And a reminder, don't forget, not just Attitude, but don't forget on Monday, Zach Ewing. It's going to be a special episode. I'm not saying this series is over, but I am saying Monday is going to be a special episode, and you're not going to want to miss Bayou Bets on Monday afternoon. For Devin Jackson, for Spencer the Guru Urquhart, I am Jim Derry, and we say adios.